This Wednesday edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code, you get 10% off with whatever sports card your heart desires. Promo code Sports Addict for 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, maybe wrestling, maybe even boxing, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You can get it at firstroundcollectibles.com. They have an ongoing sale of up to 50% off, and with our promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off regular priced and sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever
And welcome to Pucks Across Borders on Sports Hack Live, Total Apex Sports. I thought for a minute I was going to be solo. That was scary there, Andre. How you doing, bro? Losing a little power during the countdown. Always a good sign. You're back. It's good to see you, and good to see everybody joining us on this Wednesday on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. So just the introductions, a little behind the scenes look. We're doing our pre-show. Everything's good. Go live, and our boy Andre loses power. Massive storm going all over the East Coast. I'm getting it up here too, bro. My fence in my backyard's like on the ground right now, so I feel you, man. The man I'm speaking of, you read his work on Gridiron Heroics about the NFL. You read his gambling picks on Winners and Whiners. You see him talk about baseball, basketball, football, everything on Total Apex Sports. Andre, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, bro. Past few days have been absolute chaos. I think you know, but we're
Yes.
making it work. We are making it work.
Yeah, 100%. So let's just get right into it, man. 8 games in the NHL last night, 5 in the NHL tonight. Lots of storylines. This wild card race, it's a weird wild card race in the East right now, man, because it's fascinating, it's interesting, it's changing every night. But I heard it described this morning as a turtle race. Like, it's just a bunch. Is this just a bunch of bad teams who are trying to fight for that last spot? The only reason Pittsburgh's relevant because everyone's losing. It's just a conglomerate of chaos. I don't know if that saying works or makes sense, but I think you know what I mean. But we'll get into all of it. First, man, what's your takeaway in the NHL last night?
Yeah, I fully believe with and agree with the sentiment that is a turtle race and a conglomerate of mediocrity. It's no way to ignore that. At this point, they wouldn't be in a playoff spot, let alone considered in contention in the Western Conference. All these teams are just now hitting like that 80-point mark. So
I know.
It's just not good hockey. However, we will talk about a good team that's playing like one of the wildcard contenders. What's up with the Florida Panthers? Last 11 games dating back to March 12th, my brother's birthday. Shout out to him.
Oh, happy birthday.
3.64 goals per game. They've fallen to second in goals against this season. The horror, I know. But in all seriousness, I mean, they're struggling. They only have 3 wins in that 11-game stretch. 7 points if you want to add that one OT loss to the Rangers. That was their bread and butter. That was their moneymaker, and they're not getting stops right now. They were in contention. I mean, I guess they still technically are alive for it, but they were in strong, not just contention, they were kind of favored to win the President's Trophy, win the Atlantic, win the Eastern Conference. It seems like all of that's out the window. Boston now has a 4-game lead. They've played the same number of games as the Panthers. The Rangers are 5 points up on them if you're talking about the President's Trophy or the Eastern Conference first seed. The Canes are 2 games up on them. With Rangers and Canes both have a game in hand. The Maple Leafs are only 4 points back with 2 games in hand. I know you don't want to hear that, so I'm not going to harp on that much or that door. But the Panthers were championship favorites. They're kind of limping into the playoffs. Now there's still a handful of games left. They do have a homestand to close things out. So they can recover, they can regroup, but it's kind of ugly. And them consistently scoring, they have been hovering around 3 goals pretty much in every game, which is where they want to be. And usually that would be enough for them. They do average 3.2 for the season, so nothing abnormal there. But when they're giving up over 3.5 per game, which is something they hadn't done pretty much all season, that's where the troubles begin. So is it time to worry about Florida, or are they going to recover before the playoffs start?
Well, it's interesting, man, because you and I were talking about this in the pregame, and to your Toronto point, they do play the Leafs one more time. So, hey, maybe it'll matter. I don't know. What I will say is this. I've said this on the show a million times. I said this yesterday. I really do believe that when Florida plays their best and Bobrovsky is at his best, they're the best team in the league. I've thought that all year. I've thought that for a long time. However, I'm watching Vegas, Vancouver last night, and, Vegas has been, limping all year long. But you always just felt like they'll turn it around. Florida has been, if not the best team all year, they've been a top 3 team all year. They've been absolutely dominant for long stretches, multiple times this year. And I do wonder if the benefit is being given to Vegas and Florida because they both made it to the Cup final, right? You saw that they won the President's Trophy a couple years ago, and last year did not have a good season. And they got into the playoffs because the Penguins lost that game to the Blackhawks. So to me, I do feel like the benefit of the doubt is being given to Florida and to Vegas because of what they've both accomplished last year. Listen, to me, and Andre pointed it out, our boy Andre having some power issues with the weather. This might just be what it is this morning. Andre bouncing in and out. But you were talking about the goals and everything. I am curious, like, maybe it's possible, and I haven't done some crazy, analytical deep dive to prove this, but maybe if Bobrovsky is not 100% on his game, maybe his play throughout the year has really covered up some defensive deficiencies on this team. Or maybe if the defense isn't playing top notch, then he doesn't play top notch. I mean, we talked about it, man, starting in the middle of March, going back all the way to January, they allowed 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals, 0, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2. And in that stretch, they were scoring 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, right? But when they're allowing, last night they allowed 5 to Montreal, they allowed 6 against the Leafs. 2, 3, 4, 4. They haven't scored. They've only scored they're not scoring more than 4 goals as often as they were even like a month ago. So I guess my point is that I don't know if it's time to panic, Andre. You don't want to be going into the playoffs playing your worst hockey of the year. You know what I mean? I feel like you want to get that out of the way earlier. And there's only a couple weeks left here.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. You want to feel good. You want to be confident heading into that first series, regardless of who you play. And when you're backdooring, you're stumbling your way into home ice advantage. If they even hold on to that, it's hard to feel good. Even if you are the defending Eastern Conference champs, it's hard to just feel like you can flip the switch after a month of struggling.
Yeah, and to clarify the point that I made earlier, that you were talking about the Leafs and what I said yesterday. Listen, if the Leafs get home ice advantage, that's awesome. I'm not saying what that means is if they get home ice, what that means is that Florida is losing, but also that Toronto is winning and that they're playing good hockey. And that's good. And I want that. I'm just saying for the playoff narrative, it doesn't matter. If you get home ice, but you lose a series, I don't care. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. It's if you get home ice, that means that you're playing good hockey. And like we just talked about, I think you want to go into the playoffs playing good hockey. But in the whole playoff narrative, it's dude, you could be last place for all I care. Just win in the playoffs. It doesn't matter to me. But I digress. Now, listen, we're going to change it up a little bit here. I didn't warn you about this, but it's not that big of a deal. Before I give my takeaway of last night, why don't you give us your bad beat? Because we're going to talk about this for a few minutes here. So why don't we skip my takeaway for a sec and give us your bad beat from last night, bro?
Jeez, power goes out twice, and I just lose all power on this show. And my bad beat from yesterday, I was pretty confident about John's boys in Jersey, the Devils at home taking on the Penguins. Penguins, second half of a back-to-back for them. Really good win in the first one. We're not going to talk about who they played or how it happened. But I thought going up against a team that had kind of had their number the past couple of years, I thought, they had tired legs as an older team. The Devils are pretty speedy. They can kind of skate around this Penguins team. Pair of comfortable wins already this season. Felt pretty good about them. And the Devils, to their credit, took a 3-1 lead into the third period. Jesper Bratt, Curtis Lazar, Timo Meyer scored all in a row in less than a 20-minute span to make that happen. So you got to feel good. You got to think, same thing's happening again. Devils are about to steamroll the Penguins. Then Crosby scores, makes it 2-3. Then Malkin ties it up like a minute later. You go, okay, new game, whatever. The Penguins scored 3 more goals. Not just 3 more goals. They scored 3 goals in the final 5 minutes of the game. The Penguins won 6-3. They scored 5 straight in the third against the Devils. On the second half of a back-to-back, they fought through the fatigue. That is a horrible beat. Not only because I thought the Devils would win by multiple goals, and they were cruising towards that until they weren't. That might have been the final nail in the Devils' coffin also. So just a brutal way to lose for them in multiple ways.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think sorry to cut you off. I think to talk over you, I think the only saving grace for the Devils, which is a funny statement in my own mind because saving grace and it's the devil, but anyway, I digress. The fact that Washington got pumped last night, like, yeah, you have to jump over the Penguins. And Pittsburgh and Washington, by the way, play tomorrow, which is awesome. But that's kind of your only saving grace if you're the Devils, is that Washington lost too. And ultimately, yes, you have to jump over the Penguins, but you also have to get over the Capitals. So that'll be interesting to watch. Now, the reason why I asked you to do your bad beat first is because I wanted to break down that game, because that's my takeaway, man. The Pittsburgh Penguins winning last night. And let's just be honest, the other teams that won are either in the playoffs already for good, like Boston, or they don't matter, like Minnesota. And yeah, the Islanders won too, but that team's a joke, man. I have no idea what to expect from them. But listen, yes, so Pittsburgh won. And as we do every morning going into the playoff stretch, the standings now, Pittsburgh, 79 points. Islanders, 81 with their win that they did not deserve against Chicago last night, getting booed off the ice in the second period by their home fans, and deservedly so. But we talked about that Blackhawks team, man. They're a playoff killer for the last couple of years. You have Detroit at 82 points, and of course Washington at 82. And I mean, listen, Philly at 83. So Pittsburgh 3 points back of Washington, 4 points back of Philly for third in the Met, and Washington and Pittsburgh plays tomorrow. So if Pittsburgh wins, they need a win in regulation. They're still 1 point back, but they're right there. And so for me, and I mean, Pittsburgh's schedule down the stretch, they play Washington on Thursday, they play Tampa on Saturday, Toronto on Monday, 2 really tough games. But then they play Detroit, winnable game, Boston and Nashville, 2 tough games. Then they play the Islanders on the final game of the regular season. So still a pretty 50-50 stretch here of some really tough games and some gettable games. But the biggest thing for me last night is, yes, you win. You're 3 points back. You're right there, dude. We wrote this team off at that trade deadline, like that time. We wrote this team off weeks ago, bro, and they're right there. Now, the reality is that in the last 10 games, they're 5-3-2, which is NHL, like they're 500, right? Like they're 5-3-2, 5-5 in the last 10 games. It's not like they've been just, winning all these games. Washington 6-3-1, so 6-4 in their last 10. Detroit 4-4-2 in their last 10. The Islanders 4-5-1 in their last 10. Philadelphia 2-5-3 in their last 10. Like, all these teams are just like losing. Like, they all just suck right now. And Pittsburgh took advantage last night, got the win. I mean, to speak of it, the Devils, they're 5-5 in their last 10, right? So yes, all of that being said, what was most impressive for me in that win last night is, you said it, they're down 3-1 in the third period. This is just how the season's going. The Devils are trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. But last night, down 3-1, we go into the third period. Erik Karlsson scored the first goal in the hockey game to make it 1-0. That's one of their big boys, right? A very controversial trade, but that's one of their big boys. You go into the third period, you're down 3-1. Sidney Crosby gets a goal. Malkin gets a goal. Raquel gets a goal. 3 of their big boys, clearly. Malkin scores again. Crosby scores again. Empty netter, but still. Malkin and Crosby both getting 2 goals each. Raquel scoring, Karlsson scoring. Their big boys showed up when it mattered. And so is that a little sign of some maturity that we're seeing from this team where I said this on the show a couple weeks ago, Malkin, like you remember that weekend where they played like Boston? I can't remember. They got pumped by Boston. They got pumped by the Oilers. They lost to the Rangers 7-4 within that stretch as well. Like Malkin just looked like a shell of himself, dude. He looked like he was done. But he's creeping up on 60 points, which of course isn't the Malkin that we remember from back in the day. But I mean, like their big boys came to play last night, and you took advantage of a young, immature team in New Jersey who plays your guys tonight. And if the nail is not in the coffin yet, it could be tonight. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Pittsburgh Penguins, man, the big boys stepping up. Malkin and Crosby getting 4 goals combined. And they're right there, man. They're right there. I didn't look. I should have pulled this up before we even got started here. You know where I'm going to go with this. Pittsburgh Penguins. So let's go. Pittsburgh Penguins to make the playoffs, plus 600. To miss is minus 900. So the books think it's like way, way, way more likely that they miss. But plus 600. The Islanders to make the playoffs, plus 170. And I would be interested to see the strength of schedule for the Islanders down the stretch, because that has to be a factor here. I know that Pittsburgh, 75 games played. The Islanders also 75 games played. So they're kind of right there. Flyers to make the playoffs is minus 110, but to miss the playoffs is minus 120. So they're both likely in the eyes of DK. And the Capitals to make the playoffs is minus 125. Red Wings is minus 120. So out of all the teams in the East fighting for that last spot in the wild card and for the third place in the Met, Pittsburgh are by far the longest odds, plus 600. The next closest is the Islanders at plus 170. Super interesting stuff. So before we move on in the show, Andre, I got to ask you, does last night mean anything? Plus 600. Are you taking it?
I think the road's too tough for them, and honestly, I mean, a part of me doesn't want them to make it, but also just for the fact that it just irks you so much, and I think it's kind of hilarious. I really want the Capitals to make it because they don't belong whatsoever. I'm Team Chaos here, always and forever. So tomorrow's game will be huge. I think we might start a war, low key, but it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, as far as myself, plus 600, it's worth a sprinkle. Yeah. Like, depending how big your bankroll is right now, maybe you win some games today. Maybe you had a very productive night last night financially when it comes to the betting world. I mean, put $10 on it. You know, who knows? I wouldn't put $1,000 on it by any means, but a plus 600. It's fascinating. Now, we talked about the Penguins schedule. They got Washington, Lightning, Leafs, Red Wings, Bruins, Predators, Islanders. Detroit has Rangers, Buffalo, Washington, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Montreal. Washington's got Pittsburgh, Carolina, Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, Tampa, Boston, Philly. So I do think that Detroit has the lighter of the 3 schedules. I mean, I'll just give you credit. You said that in the pre-show, and I'm here stealing your thunder. But I don't know, man. Plus 600, like tomorrow night. Like, this is tomorrow night's conversation. We'll talk about it then. I have no idea, man. What do you even do? Take the over. It's a gong show. I don't know.
I think For your Penguins bet, though, I think you're better off looking at the third spot in the Metro. I mean, you got the Flyers lost 5 in a row. They're about to start a 4-game road trip. The Sabres have been playing solidly lately. The Canadians have been playing well lately. The Blue Jackets have been making noise lately. The Rangers are the Rangers. And then their last 2 home games aren't any walks in the park. It's the Devils and the Capitals. It's a rivalry. And then a team also gunning for the playoffs, kind of playing well. Assuming Pittsburgh wins the game in hand on the Flyers, they're 2 points back with 6 games left. I know the Capitals are also fighting for that spot, but they have 2 paths that are very realistic.
Yeah,
at 600.
Super interesting down the stretch. Yeah, plus 600, man. It's worth a little bit of a sprinkle. I just think, like the reason why I think, and this is my last point on it, then we'll move on. The reason why I think it's so fascinating is it's plus 600. Yeah, Pittsburgh has been mediocre at best all year long. But if they're plus 600, why are the Islanders plus 170? Why? You know what I mean? It's Detroit's minus 120, Capitals minus 125. I get it. Pittsburgh does have a 50-50 challenging schedule down the stretch here. But all these teams have played like garbage at multiple points of the season. You know what I mean? The Islanders, they're awful. They play well. When they play well, and blah, blah, blah. But for the Islanders to be plus 170, if I have to pick one of those 2 teams to make it, I'd take Crosby and the boys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's not, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting.
They've looked better. They have the pedigree. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So lately, 100%. I just think it's have the Penguins looked amazing? Of course not. But if you're making me choose either Islanders or Penguins, and you're giving me the Penguins at plus 600, to me, it's a no-brainer. As far as bad beats last night goes, I really got nothing. All my beats were so bad that they're not even really bad beats. I picked the Canucks to win. It was 6-3, but it wasn't even that close. I picked the Flames to win. They lost 5-3. I picked the Predators to win. They lost 3-0. I will say with that game, that game was 0-0 with 5 minutes left. That was a phenomenal hockey game, man. That was right there. 7 minutes left. Sorry. That game was 0-0. It was phenomenal. Shots were 32-31 in favor of Boston. They got that second goal with 3 minutes left, and then the empty netter to finish it all off. That game was phenomenal. Hard fought game. That game could have gone either way. And the Bruins, the 3-0 score is not what that game was. That was a tight game all the way down. I picked Ottawa to win. I guess that's a bad beat, but I mean, that's what I deserve, picking Ottawa to win. I did pick Blackhawks plus 1.5. I picked Canadians plus 1.5, and I picked the Penguins. So the first 3 games of the night were kind to me, and the last 3 games of the night, not so much. So that's what I got for my bad beats. And so let's move on. 5 games in the NHL tonight. And of course, again, I'll just behind the scenes here. I'm a dummy and forgot to load these games. So let's just get right to it. First game of the night. The New Jersey Devils in New York Rangers are minus 198 favorites at home. Devils plus 164. This is it for the Devils, right? Like this has to be it. If they lose tonight, it's over. The over is 6.5 at minus 108. Under is minus 112. Plus 1.5 for the Devils is minus 148. Minus 1.5 for the Rangers is plus 124. John should be back with us tomorrow. I wish he was here though, because I want to hear whatever he has to say about this Devils team. But Andre, take it away, dude. What do you see from your boys in blue at the Garden tonight?
Well, I know I'm supposed to talk about my team, but John wanted me to, give his boys a little little lashing, if you will. And they deserve it after last night. What was that?
Yeah.
You have your prey right in front of you. You're up 3-1. You're in the rock, as they call it. That's everything you should want, trying to keep your season alive, trying to make it back to the postseason. And you falter in the third period, and you have to play again. I know travel is basically non-existent for this game. I get it. Whatever. You needed the 2 points yesterday, because this is the harder 2 points to get if you're the Devils. And you need 2 points every night from here on out. Unfortunately for you, the Rangers own you, so it's not going to happen. For the fourth time this season, I'm taking the Rangers minus 1.5 over the Devils. I mean, whether it was in Jersey or whether it was in the Garden like it was a month ago, the Rangers have gotten stops, or they've slowed down this offense. Something they really struggled with last year, particularly back into the playoffs. Held them to 1 goal in March, held them to 1 goal in February. 3 goals in Jersey way back in November. That's kind of how you beat this team. You saw it with the Penguins yesterday. You keep the Devils to 3 or fewer. You got a pretty good chance of coming out on top. Just the Rangers in general, though, been lighting the lamp a lot lately. The Penguins held them to 2, but before that, they scored 8. They scored 3 in Colorado, 6 against the Flyers. Tremendous PK, good goaltending and defense. 4 against the Panthers, who were the best team in the league at stopping pucks. 5 against the Bruins in Boston, another team with phenomenal goaltending. 5 against the Islanders, 7 against the Penguins a little bit before that. Obviously, Artemi Panarin, one of the best players in the league. You got Lafreniere and Trocheck on the line with them. They've been phenomenal lately. The power play can very much take advantage of Jersey's PK. They've done it already this season. And to the Devils' credit, kind of underrated. They are 12th in penalty killing percentage now, but they've had their struggles. I do have a bit of worry about the Trouba-Miller pairing. Now that Trouba's back, I think they need to be broken up. We'll see if that happens tonight. I think that's why the Devils will find a few goals, and this game will finish over the total. I see the Rangers scoring 5, Devils getting like 2 or 3. But I'm taking that minus 1.5. And one last thing before I pass it to you, because I know you're tired of hearing my voice. I'm tired of talking with this sore throat.
Never, ever.
Rumors have it that Matt Rempe will be back in the lineup for the Rangers for this game. Will Cooley will be the scratch. Him against the Devils has already had plenty of fireworks, even though he's played like 10 games in his career. He's faced the Devils twice, got ejected 10 times. So that should be something to watch for.
So I'm glad you brought this up. That's only 5 games tonight. No big deal. I want to talk to you about something. Not really talk, but ask you about something. Matt Rempe. So I'll just be honest about this. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the kid. Really cool story. But I watch hockey every single night. I forgot this kid was even a thing. Like, he gets suspended, and like, how long has the suspension been over? How many games has he been scratched? Like, I feel like the whole Rempe experience was forever ago. Like, where are we at with all that?
He's just been getting scratched. He came back from the suspension, played in the Bruins game, the Panthers game, the Flyers game, all wins. No penalties in any of those. Had 3 shots scattered across him. I think he wasn't on the ice for any goals. He was on the ice for 1 goal against. That I don't even think was consequential during that Bruins game. I think it was kind of a done deal by then. I don't know. I don't think the craze is really a thing. Obviously, with the Devils, they're gonna try to send a message, get after him because of what's happened this year.
Yep.
But I think he was just Will Cooley's been playing well. They've had some other guys playing well, obviously with the trade deadline. I think they were trying to see what they have, mix some pieces here and there.
Sure.
Rempe's genuinely, I know the Rangers are a really good team, so this may not mean much, but they were kind of struggling. If you remember December, January, February, they kind of got their footing again. He came up for the Stadium Series game. They kind of took off. In the games he's played, they have 2 regulation losses and an overtime loss. The shootout loss was to your boys. Really tight, really good game. No shame in that. The regulation loss was to the Panthers. You're not really gonna be ashamed about that one. So if you're looking at 13 career games, 10 wins, I know he's not the reason why, but he hasn't played bad. He's actually played solidly in his time on ice. He brings the fighting physical element you need. I wonder if they were trying to just get his head screwed on, trying to get him away from penalties, but I think the hype about his size and the fighting is over, and I think it's more about trying to make him just a 4th liner moving forward.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, man, like I can't like you watch the Rangers more than I do, so like I can't really speak to the energy that he brings to the lineup as a whole, but there's no doubt like New York loves him. Like the Garden has an energy when he's on the ice, man. And if this was old school hockey, I don't know how really accurate this is in 2024, but if this was like the mid 2000s or the 90s or even the 80s, like if he didn't play tonight, the Devils will be coming after Panarin. Like it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, like he's not going to play. That's fine. But hey, Panarin, keep your head up out there, bro. Like we're coming. You know what I mean? That was more of like an 80s, 90s, 2000s thing. I don't know if that's still a part of it. But definitely something to be said with him being in the lineup. And I'm sure that a fight will go down. For me with this game, first of all, shout out your boy Lafreniere, 5 goals in his last 5 games, plus 205 for him to get a goal tonight. So you get a guy who's scoring 5 and 5 and he's plus 205. I'll take that. Been getting pretty hot with this goal scoring thing over the last week or so, I must say. So plus 205 to him to score tonight. Listen, the last time the Rangers were on the ice, and I don't think it's more complicated than this. The last time the Rangers were on the ice, they lost a pretty ugly game to Pittsburgh. The last time the Devils were on the ice, they lost a game that, as we've talked about for a while now, they were up in that game 3-1. They should have won that game. Yes, the Rangers want to win the division. Yes, the President's Trophy would be nice, but the Rangers are in the playoffs, man. They're trying to stay healthy. They're trying to play well, but they're not going to get carried away. The Penguins were a desperate team. They had it that night. The Rangers didn't. No big deal. You're asking me which team who lost to the Penguins is more likely to bounce back? It's the Rangers. I think that game last night crushed the Devils. They needed it. They had it. They lost it. I'm taking Rangers minus 1.5 plus 124. I would lean the over as well. Like you said, I'll probably stay away just because I don't know what this Devils team does, man. Do they score 1 goal? Do they score 4? I have no idea. I'll stay away from the over, but I will take Rangers minus 1.5. Moving on to my guys in Toronto against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Fun game heading down the stretch. Tampa Bay is pretty home and cooled when it comes to a wild card position. It would, even if they lost every single game for the rest of the year, I don't know if the rest of the teams want it bad enough to win themselves in. I don't even know if they would lose it, even if that happened. But the Toronto Maple Leafs are home against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning plus 110 dogs on the road. Maple Leafs minus 130 at home. The over is 6.5 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Tampa Bay plus 1.5 is minus 218. Toronto Maple Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 180. Rumor has it that Morgan Rielly will be back tonight. If not tonight, he will be back soon. Marner is skating, looking good, still on LTIR. It's very obvious what I've said about the Leafs and how I don't care who they play, don't care, home ice, road, doesn't matter. It's pretty clear to me the Leafs feel the same way. Morgan Rielly, he got hurt a while ago. They're not rushing to bring him back. Like I said, he might come back tonight, but he's been out for the last number of games. Mitch Marner, same thing. He's been practicing. He's on the ice, but they're not rushing to bring him back. And this isn't a Vegas like money scheme, long-term IR, bring in superstars. The Leafs, they don't have anyone to really replace Marner with, so it's not about that. But I just think it's about the playoffs, and we want to keep this guy healthy. There was a stretch of time where without Marner, Matthews was not scoring, but that time has passed because Matthews, I feel like he's been scoring 2 goals every night. For him to score a goal tonight is minus 145. So, you want to add that in a goal scoring parlay, go right ahead. I'm not going to bet that single, but I mean, it's worth a sprinkle here. Plus 310 for him to score 2 goals tonight. Why not? He's been scoring 2 goals pretty much every night. He's at 62 and creeping towards 70. As far as the game itself, listen, Tampa Bay 8-1-1 in their last 10. Tampa is playing some really good hockey right now. And so are the Maple Leafs. They're at home. I'm going to leave Maple Leafs money line here. I would not disagree with a plus 110 Tampa Bay play. There was a point in time where Maple Leafs in the middle of a week at home, I would take the opposing team every day of the week. Well, specifically Monday through Wednesday. My point is, Tampa Bay is a very good team. They're coming back around. They're showing their championship pedigree. The Leafs can talk it down all they want. They'll say the right things. I think that game against Florida was a huge statement for them. I really do. Yes, Florida's been scuffling. We talked about it at length earlier in the show. I just think this Maple Leafs team, they're just playing different, man. They're playing hungry. I'm believing in this team, which terrifies me. I think the Leafs win tonight, minus 130. That was a big win against the Panthers the other night, and I think they keep it rolling. I'll also say the emotion that I'm seeing from the whole team when Matthews scores, I think it's sparking something, man. Like, if Matthews scores 70 and they lose in the first round of the playoffs, does it, like, of course, like, you would rather win a round than score 70. I really do think that Matthews believes that and would say it. But when he scores, like, I don't know, man, there's something going on with this team that I really believe in. I'm taking Maple Leafs minus 130. I'm not touching any prop shots because I don't know. You got Matthews, you got Marner, you got Tavares. I don't know. I keep on picking the wrong one, so I'm staying away from the shot props. But I do like Matthews to score. Sorry, real quick before I hand it off to you, Andre, I will say Bertuzzi's been getting hot lately, man. Bertuzzi's been getting hot. He is. Where is he to score? Plus 200 for him to score tonight. I'll pull up here his last 5 games. 4 goals in his last 5 games. 19 goals on the season. I like Bertuzzi plus 200. Andre, what do you got for tonight?
I have a phenomenal hockey game. I'm absolutely throwing this on my laptop. I love this matchup. Not just because it happens in the playoffs almost every year. That's just these are two teams playing well right now. These are two teams that thrive offensively, and it's just going to be a fun one. So, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, it's kind of a cop-out. I don't want to pick a side. I just want to see some good hockey, so I'm not going to pick a side. I can see why. I can see a strong argument for both teams winning. Stronger for Toronto since they're at home. They're not the team that lost their last time out. In fact, they beat the Panthers 6-4 last time out, and it wasn't that close. But I'm just going to stick with the over instead.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm glad you said something about Matthews' 2+ goals because I was going to touch on that. But when these teams meet, it tends to be high scoring. In their last 9 meetings, that includes the playoff series a year ago, 7 of them ended with 7 or more goals. One of them ended with exactly 6 goals. So only one game that really wasn't close to the overhitting. That was the clincher for you guys, the 2-1 OT win in Tampa. You just get Kucherov, you get Matthews, you get Stamkos, you get Marner, just scoring, just a lot of scoring. I will say for this year's season series, 2 OT games, 2 Leafs wins, 4-3 in Tampa Bay back in October, 6-5 in Toronto back in November. It's been a while since they met, but they were both tight. If you want to sprinkle a little bit on the 60-minute draw, it's probably not a bad idea. But the best way to bet this is the over 6.5. And if it pushes up to 7, take it. Over 7.
I will say, number one, you're talking about Stamkos. He's got 4 goals in his last 5 games. And for him to put one in the net tonight is plus 180. So I don't hate that as well. The last thing that I will touch on with regards to the over, I 100% agree with you. What I'm really interested in tonight, and do we have goalie props up? Yes, we do. What do we got? So Joseph Woll is in the net tonight, and I'm really, really interested in this from the Maple Leafs perspective, because since Samsonov's little sabbatical, he has just been outrageous. And it's a very common conversation, if the playoffs start today, who would you start? Game 1, Joseph Woll, before his injury back in November, he was playing lights out as well. So I'm really interested to see how he bounces back. Just a little side note. I know I'm talking a lot, but just a little side note here. Samsonov, must we forget, or least we forget, must we remember, whatever. Samsonov was sent down to the minors. He went through waivers. John's not here to defend himself, but what teams do you think are kicking themselves right now who didn't pick up this guy? Could have had him. Samsonov was sent down, went through minors, went through waivers. Anybody could have had him. And I bet you there's a couple of teams right now kicking themselves for not taking a flyer on this guy. But Joseph Woll gets to start tonight. Vasilevsky gets to start for the Lightning. Moving on to the Edmonton Oilers in Dallas. This is going to be a terrific hockey game. As good as Lightning Toronto is, I feel like this might creep up for game of the night. But I think both are fair. Dallas minus 120 at home, plus 100 are the Oilers on the road, over 6.5 at minus 108. The under is minus 112, plus 1.5 for the Oilers, minus 238, minus 1.5 for Dallas, plus 195. I have been talking for what feels like an hour. So, Andre, take it away, man. What do you see in this game tonight?
I can't get through like 3 sentences without coughing, so I really appreciate that actually. Yeah, it's a good thing this is 2.5 hours after Lightning Leafs, because
Yes.
another classic game. And just like that one, I'm taking the over. Listen, I don't know what Vegas knows that I don't. Maybe it's the Stars have been stopping pucks better lately. I know you've been kind of on the odder, shaky this season train, and it's true. Jake Onger had plenty of struggles. Lately, though, he's been back to himself. Last 5 starts, 5-0, 140 goals against average, 942 save percentage, coming off a shutout against the Kraken on Saturday. Now, he only faced 17 shots in that one, but he turned them all away. That's your job. He did what he's supposed to do. I don't care. Since 2022, these teams have met 7 times, 6 of them gone over the total. November, 4-3 Stars win in Edmonton. February, 4-3 OT win for the Oilers in the Lone Star State. There are so many great offensive weapons in this game. Dallas, 3rd in goals per game. Edmonton, 4th in goals per game. 2 top 10 power plays. 2 PKs that are not in the top 10. I understand the Oilers are very quietly now a top 10 team in stopping pucks. I understand the Oilers have also been defending while getting good goaltending. But, you're telling me McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Robertson, Pavelski, Duchesne, Hintz, just list goes on. Guys that could score. Give me the over all the way in this one. And I'm, again, not going to pick a side because I'm a coward today.
Yeah, you are kind of cowardy today, eh? I don't really know which side to lean here either. I think for me, St. Louis 3-1 in the last 4 games, 3-3 in their last 6. Since the beginning of March, they won 3 games to start off the month. That was 3 of 5 games in a row that they won. Then they lost 2, 1-2, lost 1, 1-2, lost 2, 1-3. They lost to St. Louis the other night, a desperate St. Louis Blues team. Bottom line is the Dallas Stars, they have won 7 games in a row with 2 games in the middle. A little win sandwich, as we say. They won 5 in a row, lost 2, and now they have won 7 in a row. Dallas has just been playing phenomenal hockey, and you're right, the Ottinger thing has worried me, but they have allowed 3 goals or more, which is not more, it's just 3 goals once in this whole winning streak. They have only allowed more than 2 goals 1 time. They have not scored less than 3 goals in that 7-game stretch. And to start off this winning streak, they scored 4, 5, 4, 4, 6, and then 3 of the last 2 in the last 2 games. I'm picking Dallas to win this game tonight. I just think they're playing better hockey. Obviously, if Edmonton wins this game, no one's going to be surprised. But I just think based on the last month, I just think Dallas is just unstoppable right now. And they're at home. I think they win. They're just playing better, plain and simple. And I love your overtake. I think that it is over all day long. Now, I have the tendency to get greedy and even bump this over up a little bit, but I will control myself and keep it at over 6.5, minus 108. And I'm taking Dallas at minus 120. Now, what you said about the Maple Leafs and the Lightning with the draw, The same thing can be said here for this game too, right? Plus 330 to go to overtime tonight. So that's an interesting thing to maybe sprinkle a little bit on. But I'm taking the over and I'm taking the Stars. Moving on to Los Angeles, where the Seattle Kraken are playing the Los Angeles Kings. Kings minus 108, minus 180 at home, plus 150 are the Kraken on the road. The over is 5.5 at plus 100. The under is minus 120, plus 1.5 for the Kraken is minus 166. Minus 1.5 for the Kings is plus 140. I don't really know where to go with this game. I think I would lean under at minus 120. Both these teams are not prolific goal scoring teams. Kraken, they've won 3 out of their last 4 games, beating the Sharks 4-2. They lost to Dallas, as you mentioned, and then beat the Ducks 2 games in a row, outscoring the Ducks 8-2 in that stretch. 3 wins out of 4, 3 wins against awful teams. I don't really know what to expect from this team. Before the 3-1 stretch, they lost 8 games in a row. They're not scoring goals except if they play the Sharks or the Ducks. And the Kings are one of the best defensive teams in the league, and their goaltending is really rounded into form. I'm probably leaning Kings 60-minute line here at minus 115. Reason being, I do think the minus 1.5 is in play, but I don't really trust the Kings to score either. So wouldn't be surprised at a 3-2, 2-1 win. So I'll take Kings 60-minute line at minus 115, and I'll take the under 5.5 at minus 120. What about you?
I'm with you on the under in this. Yes, I know 5.5 isn't much, but it hit for them both times they played this year. That 3-2 shootout win for the Kings in December, and then the Kraken got them back in LA with a 2-1 win. And like you said, good teams at stopping the pucks. Both are top 10 in goals allowed average. Kings, second best PK. Kraken are just great at 5-on-5 defense. Kraken don't score a lot, and the Kings are just average at it. So 5-goal cap, kind of tricky. It always is, but I think it's worth in matchups like this. So I'm with you on that. I think I favor the Kraken ever so slightly, though.
Ooh, okay.
I know it's the Ducks and the Sharks for 4 goals in 3 of their last 4. Offense has to have some type of confidence coming off of that. They've been better on the road this season. 15, 13, and 7. 15 and 20 if you hate the points percentage OT loss type deal. But we know the Kings have been better on the road all season. And if you're better on the road, that means you're worse at home. That's kind of how logic works. That's where they are for this one. Their Kings power play, especially at home, does not really exist. If you're going to look for LA to score, it would probably be against the Kraken's PK because Seattle's shorthanded. If the Kings can't take advantage of that, they haven't taken advantage of most teams at home with the man advantage. It's going to be a long night for them scoring. I trust the Kraken to get 1 or 2 goals across. And if the Kings power play doesn't come through, I think that'll be enough with the way the Seattle tends to play 5-on-5 defense. So I'm going to roll with the road dogs.
Interesting take. I don't hate it, man. This Kings team, I don't know. I've said this before. Like when their defense is on, man, their schemes, their plays, the way that they move is just so good. But when they're not on, it's awful. So we'll see what happens with that game tonight. Moving on to the last game of the night, the Vancouver Canucks are in Arizona after losing badly to the Golden Knights last night. Now the lines have moved here. Some Arizona money coming in over the last 45 minutes. Arizona plus 124 now. At home, minus 148 are the Canucks at home. The over is 6 at minus 118, or on the road, sorry. The over is 6 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for the Canucks is plus 160. Plus 1.5 for the Coyotes is minus 192. So last night, and it's tough. I don't think we've talked about this. You said this during the pre-show, Andre. We haven't talked about Thatcher Demko being out enough. It's tough right now for the Canucks goaltending situation. Listen, Casey DeSmith has been a phenomenal backup goaltender all year long. He's been a really good option for them. However, he's playing a lot of hockey right now, and it's not looking good. On DraftKings, goalie props only have Connor Ingram up because who knows? He was in the net for the Canucks last night, but he got pulled. I don't know what to expect with this goaltending situation. So when you see Canucks minus 148, or you see Canucks minus 1.5 at plus 160 against the Coyotes, with all the crazy lines that we have seen, you would think, yo, no brainer. Much like we both did last night when they were plus money against Vegas. This goaltending situation is a massive red flag. If it wasn't one already, it certainly is one now. For that reason, over all day long, minus 118. I do trust the Canucks to score a bunch of goals tonight. Last night was just one of those games, man. You're down 2-0, make it 2-1. You're down 5-2, make it 5-3. Within minutes, it was 6-3. You just couldn't get over that hump. I do think the Canucks come out with a vengeance tonight, score a bunch of goals. I just think the Coyotes might score a bunch of goals too. And so I really, really like the over. I'll take 60-minute line for the Canucks. I think minus 1.5 should be an obvious play. But like I said, that goaltending situation is just throwing up some massive red flags to me right now. And I don't know what to expect. The Coyotes, listen, man, they lost to the Rangers 8-5. They put 5 goals on the New York Rangers. They put 8 goals on the Nashville Predators. They put 6 goals on the Blue Jackets. Couple games only scoring 2 goals. 2 of those 3 against Dallas. Scored 4 against New Jersey, 4 against Detroit, 4 against Chicago, 4 against Detroit, 5 against Washington, 5 against Ottawa. The Coyotes have been scoring some goals over the last month or so, man. And so I wouldn't put it past them to put up a bunch of goals tonight. And so give me the over 6. I might even bump that up to 7. I might even get kind of carried away with it. It's not available yet on DraftKings. But I'll take the Canucks 60-minute line plus 105, and I'll take that over all day long. And if and when it goes up, take 7. I can see this being a 5-4, 6-4 game. No problem. What do you got?
I'm I kind of see why people are taking the Yotes money line here.
Yeah, man.
I want to go with the Canucks 60-minute line. It feels like the better, safer play, but they can't stop pucks right now. Plain and simple. And for Arizona, who's playing for the 6th straight game at home, they did not play yesterday. In fact, they haven't played since Saturday, unlike the Canucks who played yesterday in Vegas. This Arizona team has 19 goals in their last 3 games. They played the Rangers and the Predators in the last 2. They got 13. So they're scoring. The offense is clicking. They're doing something right. I think that's enough for them, regardless of how many they give up, to win this game. So another 4-5 goal night for the Yotes, especially with the way that Vancouver is not playing defense right now or not getting the saves they need to. And a win. I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take that money line for the home team.
I can't fault you on it, man. That was a mess last night. I can't fault you on it at all. And listen, man, Quinn Hughes, 2 goals last night. I know it's a back-to-back. He's plus 400 to score tonight. So he got 2 goals last night, feeling himself, plus 400. I'll take it. Also, Josh Doan, wonderful story. This is a purely nostalgic bet, so I'm not recommending it, but I'm taking plus 380 for Josh Doan to score another one for the Coyotes. Moving on, wrapping up the show with our best bets, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. What's your favorite sport? Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, maybe wrestling, maybe even boxing. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You can get it at firstroundcollectibles.com. Use our promo code. Tell them we sent you. Sports Addict is the promo code, 10% off. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off. Tons of cards. Using our promo code, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Number 1, STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what is your best bet in the NHL tonight?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of things I feel confident about. I think the one I feel most confident about, though, is that over in your game, in your neck of the woods, if you will. Toronto, Tampa, over 6.5. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you.
Love it. Let's do a little over parlay, man. Let's do Edmonton, Dallas. I'll take that over as well. We talked about it at length. Both of us agree. Dallas, Edmonton, over 6.5 at minus 108. You watch a bunch of goals at 7:10. Game's over. Turn on Edmonton, Dallas. Watch a bunch of goals in Texas. I love it. 2 overs. Let's go.
That's right. I love when there are themes like this, you know? It's just all feels connected.
It's awesome.
The first, I guess it is the first game for this parlay. Lightning, Leafs over 6.5, minus 118 on its own. You parlay it with over 6.5 in Edmonton, Dallas, which is minus 108 on its own. You have a plus 255.
Love it, man. Bounce back. Let's keep it simple. It's been a rough week for us. Let's not sugarcoat this, man. It's been a rough week. That's why you got to listen to the whole show, because we throw out winners every single day. But sometimes with the best bets, you just pick the wrong one, and it's just the way it goes. And so, yeah, let's bounce back, keeping it simple. Also, breaking news live on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, Pucks Across Borders. Your boy Mark Sauter has just been invited to an alumni tournament for the hockey league that he played for back in the mid 2000s to early. No, not even. No, it was the mid 2000s. Listen, your boy has had a really busy winter, has eaten a lot of Wendy's, and is pretty out of shape. So we'll see what happens. So the over-under for Mark's total goals over the alumni tournament is coming shortly. So get your pocketbooks ready, get your checks ready, get whatever you need to do, financial house in order to bet on me falling flat on my face in a couple weeks here. Andre, thank you so much, man. John, we miss you, bro. Hopefully, we'll see you back tomorrow. To everybody watching on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, thank you so much for continuing to join us every single day. It's been a party. It's been a lot of fun. Total Apex Sports, shout out to you. Thank you. Andre, what do you got as far as Total Apex Sports today? I know they got a lot of stuff going on.
They do. Stephon Diggs got traded. You want to find out where? You want to find out who? Go to Total Apex Sports. We'll be back later talking some college basketball. We'll be talking some NBA. It's all looking good, man. It's all looking good. The sites are up and running. There's also an entertainment and gaming site now if you're into that. So there's something for everybody out there. Any sport, even, if you're into cricket, you're into tennis, that's on Total Apex too. So feel free to check it out.
You heard the man. Head over to Total Apex Sports on Twitter and YouTube. They got lots of live content going all day long. Shout out First Round Collectibles. Use our promo code Sports Addict for 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. Good luck on your betting. Enjoy the games. We will see you all tomorrow.
Go hard.